Hi everyone, this is Elif Köse and welcome to Confidence Leads to Success. Today I have got Marisa Guthrie. Is that the right pronunciation?
Yes, that's absolutely fine, Elif. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, Marissa is a business coach to small and micro purpose led businesses who want to make money and change the world. And she is on a mission to put money in the right hands of right people and is committed to improving society by the way we do business. She has got 20 years of entrepreneurial experience, and she has set up three social enterprises, including a cross-party tank and a local networking group for women in business. And she's so passionate about people being authentic when it comes to business, when they're running the way they run their businesses. And I would love to welcome you, Marissa, and share with us what do you mean by that and why it is very important.
Well, thank you so much for having me here, Elif. It's just such a pleasure to be here and to be in conversation with you about this. So first of all, thank you so much. Um, and yeah, I think we both feel and understand that authenticity is really important. So I'm going to start off by bringing in the C word, capitalism, and the system that we're all operating in, and also the P word, which is patriarchy. So let's just start as we mean to go on. So what I've experienced in business. So yeah, I'm 25 years in now. I started my first business when I was 25, so you can roughly work out how old I am. And what I've seen and witnessed and experienced firsthand is there is a culture around business and the world of business. And as we know, that is somewhat patriarchal. And when we go to start our businesses, our enterprises, most of us are starting on our own. We're not starting with big budgets and teams of people helping us. And what happens is on somewhere on this journey we can lose sight of ourselves because we are trying to fit into a culture. We see and we perceive success to be a particular thing in the world of business.
It's so true.
And so we try and fit in with a model that doesn't really, hands up.
Didn't we all do that? I mean, I did it. I spent early years of my entrepreneurship and being as a woman, especially here in the UK, as you know, my journey started here in the UK as an entrepreneur. I tried to fit in rather than just be authentically myself in every way possible to just belong.
And that is something I think I can safely say we all do, irrespective of what industry we
Yeah.
may be in. And certainly for me, I spent the first few years as an entrepreneur, quite a long time actually, trying to fit a particular model. And what happens is we become not only extremely disillusioned, but it's much easier to get burnt out when we're not showing up authentically because it takes effort to turn up as someone else day in, day out. And we feel kind of, beaten down by that system. We feel kind of jaded and cynical and all those negative feelings that really are the antithesis to being a success. And when we make that connection between actually I can turn up as my professional authentic self, then things start to slot into place and it makes the journey so much easier. Because the thing is, both you and I know that being an entrepreneur is not the easiest option. It's and sometimes and I lately I've been saying, sometimes I think it's actually an impossible thing to be, because how can you possibly know everything there is to know about running a business? Your business hasn't existed yet, so how can you possibly know? And we have to
Exactly.
continue
There's
learning.
prizes every you learn something each end of the month, and you find out there's another expense you didn't plan that was going to come out of your account.
Yeah. So when you add in for
It's
that,
it's quite the journey.
it is quite the journey. And so when you add another layer of, and I've got to learn all that, and I've got to show up as someone else, frankly, it's, for me, that is the main reason that people stop running their businesses, or they throw it in and just say, I can't do this, because it requires so much mental energy on top of all the other things that you have to know and be an expert in. So I work with entrepreneurs. I work predominantly with women, not exclusively with women, but I work with entrepreneurs at any stage, you know, from startup all the way through to being established businesses, to really access their authenticity in creating the success that they want to see.
What happens is, when you're starting, like, we learn the way we need to run the business. We like, it's a kind of a learn act in a way, and we've been told how to be an entrepreneur. But what happens is, like, there is a way of, like, you can be a self-employed or an entrepreneur. I think there are two different type of people. Self-employed just turns up to a work to 5, finishes the work, goes home. But entrepreneur is so passionate.
Mm.
They're serving, sharing with other people, and they just continuously work, and they don't see that as work. They see it as like part of their duty, almost, to be existence.
Yeah. It's very interesting. There is a real distinction, I think, and I've been seeing a lot of this recently. There is a real distinction between being a business owner and being self-employed, and being an entrepreneur. One of the things that makes us entrepreneurial, I think, is stubbornness. Is
That's
just,
right.
you know, it's just like, I have no choice but to do this, first of all. So this is about our calling, isn't it? It's about, you know, and I think that's what you were saying. It's maybe not duty, but certainly a calling, a vision, you know, having a mission. But secondly, it really is just that you refuse to take no for an answer, you know, and you just will continually turn up and just keep turning up. And I think that is what, you know, is, and again, it's not a special talent, it's an attitude, it's a habit, it's a predisposition, rather than a learnable skill. Because also, one of the things that bothers me in the world of, you know, of business, is that there is a perception that in order to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a certain way. That isn't true, but you do need to be quite stubborn, and you need to keep turning up, even when you don't feel like it. Well, I've lost you. I've lost you. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. You just need to. Sorry, I was just talking to myself. I was just saying, you need to just keep on going, because one thing didn't work out doesn't mean you have to give in and just go. You have to try the other way and learn what didn't work, rather than just give up.
Yeah, and it's also that thing of, and I've been reading a lot about, you know, different entrepreneurs and their journeys. And there's a fantastic podcast called How to Fail with Elizabeth Day, which is absolutely brilliant. And she interviews lots of success, quote unquote, successful people, but particularly in the world of business, you've got to get really comfortable with failure. You've got to feel so comfortable with failure and not take it personally, and understand, again, that failure is a path to learning something. And if you are not comfortable with failing, and if you feel like you, because again, the other thing we need to leave at the door if we're going to be successful entrepreneurs is we've got to leave perfection at the door.
Yeah.
Because if you want everything to be perfect and you're going to wait until
For
everything's
it to be perfect to launch that collection, or get the book out, or get the course out, forget it.
it's never going to happen. So instead, it's about enjoying the journey. and the process,
Mm.
and knowing that you have to fail in order to learn, and understanding and having strategies in place for what happens when you do fail. I have failed so many times, but the only real failure is if we fail to learn the lesson from when those things happen, because they're going to happen. We're going to mess up. We're going to screw up monumentally sometimes. But we have to.
I love that. I love it. It is so true. I I mean, let me like tell you my failure I've done during my fashion, brand journey. I decided to invest into bag designs, and I always wanted to design my own bags, and I really wanted it. I invested in it, and it was a failure. I didn't do enough research. I didn't do enough customer surveys. I overstocked. There were so many little things that I could have done better. Now looking from out, away from being in that moment. But I learned from that. So now if I want to invest something, a different aspect to my fashion, I do a research. I've learned from that mistake, and I didn't beat myself. I'm a failure. I didn't decide that I'm a bad designer or a bad businesswoman.
Yeah, absolutely.
It didn't work for me.
And it's really interesting because that makes me think of there's another aspect, I think, of being an entrepreneur, and where I see small business owners trip up a lot is it, this may be the reason that led you to wanting to develop, and diversify what you were doing, because what a lot of small business owners think is, I will make more money if I offer lots of things. I'm going to be more financially successful if I diversify.
That's exactly what I thought.
And it's really,
you just hit the nail on the head. That's exactly my thinking. If I have more, if I can have all sorts of products, all sorts of styles, all sorts of designs, all sorts of products, I will be more successful. I'll have more customers. I'll have more people coming in. And I actually lost customers.
Exactly.
I lost customers by having so much.
Yeah.
By offering so many different price brackets.
Exactly. And what we both know is actually the route, and this is so linked to authenticity as well, but the route to success is doing one thing and doing it so well that you become the go-to person in your industry. That is the thing that and it's not really the same as a USP. It's just really honing and refining, and I'm going to use the word perfecting advisedly, but becoming a real master at what you do and being known for that thing, rather than having this whole array. And I see this with small business owners, irrespective of what they offer, or whether it's products or services, or what industry they're in. And that is one of the things that really trips them up. And again, I think it's because they're not checking in with their authentic selves. They're trying to fit they're taking a small business and trying to fit it into a big business model. And that is the thing that we have to avoid. And we've always had to avoid it. But actually now, since COVID and where we are at, in our place in the world right now, with the struggles that we have in humanity.
Basically, it's like, don't be jack of all, master of none. Just be master of one thing.
Master of one thing, because also, what's so good about that is it's so much more relaxing. It's so much more.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're not learning. It doesn't mean you're not growing and changing. You can be within that, that model, and still be learning so much, and also you are going to be of service. One of the things that I talk about in my work is about how we can be of service, and actually really understanding that we put our community, who we're trying to serve, at the heart of our business, not putting ourselves there. That's a misunderstanding, I think, as well. but how can I really be of service by really mastering what I do, and how can I really continue to help that community? And it's much more, we develop more richness and depth to what we do by doing that, rather than trying to continually diversify what we do. And also it gets us into that mode where we feel like we have to be selling all the time, which we both know,
Yeah.
selling all the time is not what we want to do. It does our brand a disservice, it does our community a disservice, and again, it's just frankly, it's too much work.
See, it's funny we're just talking about this because I did a quick live video earlier this morning, talking about how like planning your everything. Like, yes, you might have 5,000 orders per month, but that means you'll have to have somebody in your team, and you have to manage the team. Then you have to then not only learn how to run business, you have to then sharpen your leadership skills to be a good leader, to have a great team, so you can get most productivity out of them. So like, if having more work is not going to give you more stress, more work, are you prepared to actually want all that things that you want financially, physically? Sometimes with these people, they're so good up and up and up, and then suddenly they get like some kind of illness because they're so tired. They get their body runs down, you see. So you have to be really clear exactly what you want and what you really want to, what you can actually achieve, because a person has done it doesn't mean it's right for you.
No, and the other thing that's interesting about that is we only see the successful part. We don't
Yes.
see the struggle. We don't see the 15 years of struggle that someone took to get to that. We just look at their Instagram account and their 15,000 followers, and we look at that and go, oh, they must have, we make assumptions. We don't see the the grind that went into creating that. But the other thing is what you were saying about getting ill, or not really being set up for success, because I'm a big fan of the Gay Hendricks book, The Big Leap. And in that book he talks
I love that book.
oh, it's so fantastic, isn't it? And he talks about the upper limit problem. And the upper limit problem is about when we are so we think we're ready for success and abundance and love, as he describes it. But what happens is, if we don't feel really comfortable with that, and we don't feel really worthy of that, we will get to that place and we will manage to sabotage it in some way. And and he describes all the ways that we sabotage it. So we worry excessively, or we get ill, or we pick fights with our partner, or all of those things that are just unnecessary, because we don't feel in ourselves either we're worthy of success, or we just feel it's kind of, it just isn't a comfortable place to be. So we have to be really.
I love that book. Actually, after I read that book, everything else changed in my life, and I've noticed of my own behavior and how I had my own upper limit, and how I actually sabotaged my own happiness, my own success with that upper limit. It's amazing. I highly recommend to anyone who, if you haven't read it, ladies, you must have it. Just order it now.
It's fantastic. So for me, it was illness. I noticed that whenever either I had something big coming up or something big,
me too,
past, I'd get ill in some way.
Me too.
And I'd crash. And it, reading that was like a light bulb. And I haven't gone back to that place now, and that hasn't happened to me, which is so interesting, because again, that was my pattern. That was my. But it just goes to show how powerful our brain, our mind is, that it can have this effect. So it feels to me like, as part of our journey of being an authentic and bringing our authenticity to our business, we've got to get really comfortable with actually owning our success. Not just
you actually have to love yourself. You have to like yourself, the way you run your business, the way you share your knowledge, the way you believe how the business should be run. Then people will follow that person. If you don't love you and believe in you, if you don't trust you and your words and your beliefs and your knowledge, how could you expect others to trust you?
Absolutely. And the flip side of that is forgiveness. The flip side of that is compassion. You know, if we don't have compassion for ourselves, and my goodness, you know, we are on a journey. We really are on a journey as business owners. If we don't, you know, if we have those failures, but then we don't forgive ourselves and we don't have compassion for ourselves, we won't end up treating ourselves. You know, I often say to the people that I work with, you are the most precious asset in your business. You are the most valuable resource in your business. So if you aren't treating yourself as that precious resource, you cannot be there
Yeah.
for your community and your customers and the people that you're trying to help and support. Because often, again, we will do things the other way around. We take care of everybody else and we forget that actually, you know, in order to create a financially sustainable business, let alone being sustainable in other ways, we have to treat ourselves like the precious resource that we are, you know. So again, for me, that is also a part of the journey, and it's about being able to, you know, to be that authentic person, and like you say, you know, be able to love yourself as part of that journey.
I love it. I'm going to ask you a question for like our entrepreneurs, mainly my listeners are entrepreneurs in business, wanting to start business or being in business. If there was like two things that you could suggest them in order to be successful, what would they be?
Okay, so one of the things that people really seem to struggle with is that in order to be successful, and again, my caveat when we use the word successful is however you define it, because it's really important that we all have our own definition of success. We don't inherit it from someone else or from society, or, you know, whatever it may be. But one of the things that you absolutely need is you need to be consistent. And that sounds kind of boring.
But true.
It's true. You know, there will be times when you don't necessarily want to show up, or you don't necessarily want to, you know, do that DM, or you don't want to send that email, or, you know, you maybe don't want to do that talk, or whatever it may be. And for me, it's actually much more simple. You know, we feel that there is a kind of a magic formula to being a success.
No.
You've just got to keep showing up consistently a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And you have got to be prepared to be, you know, I'm going to use the way to have systems in place, like exactly like you were describing just now. If you're going to have 5,000 orders that come through, you've got to have the systems that, you know, to deal with that too. And it doesn't
That
sound,
can handle it. Yeah.
it doesn't sound very sexy, it doesn't sound very, you know, exciting, but nonetheless those are the steps that you need to take. But also, you know, that's kind of the practical side, if you like. So showing up consistently is one thing, but also having daily practices and habits, and understanding that there are things that you need to continually let go of, the things that are not working. You know, and I'm very
Not serving you.
by James Clear and Atomic Habits, and
Yeah, Atomic Habits is one of my must-read books. Yeah, fantastic.
Because what he talks about is that goals are fine for giving you direction, but they don't give you, you don't understand what steps to take from setting a goal. The steps that you need to take are in the habits, the way that you turn up each and every day to your business. And it's those daily practices, and those daily practices also include your mindset. You know, how are you talking to yourself? When you are you championing yourself? Is there negative self-talk, or are you actually, you know, again, having compassionate conversations with yourself? So for me, it's about really checking in with those day-to-day practices and just being able to show up consistently. And of course, you know, you've just asked me to highlight two things. There's lots of ways that we could go into each of those,
Yeah,
have an hour conversation about each of
I
those.
know. Hour for each.
Yeah.
But can I just add something to what you suggested? Consistency.
Yeah.
The reason consistency actually works, not only for being visible in your social platforms, on your emails, or whatever that is you're doing consistently.
Yeah.
Being consistent in some platforms is also good for algorithm.
Oh yeah.
Like Facebook knows you are there every day at 12 o'clock,
Yeah.
knows that, and they like that repetitiveness, and that it helps your algorithm, and they show it to people who would like your content, because their artificial intelligence is become the thing now. And so the consistency is also good in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting. So, you know, I have always, I love those kind of high powered kind of motivational, you know, speakers that you get in America, and the, you know, the Tony
Yeah.
Robbins, and, you know, all of those kind of people. And it's really interesting because the, again, when they talk about how they've gotten to, you know, 7, 8 figures, Jeff Walker, again, really great example, Stu McLaren, really fantastic examples, Denise Duffield
Yeah.
Thomas, they talk about that thing of being able to show up. And as you get to
Yeah.
the, you know, the 6 figures, and then if you want to get to 7 figures, and again, I'm not saying that you should do that, but however you want to be,
It works.
it works. You just
Yeah.
keep turning up. And this notion of what we were talking about earlier, being known for that one thing, you know, doing one thing, being the absolute master of that. You just keep doing that, and you keep talking
Yeah.
about that one thing in slightly different ways. And that means that you become the absolute expert, and you are known for that one thing. And that is also a way that you show up consistently in your business. But of course, you're right in terms of, you know, I've seen my Instagram. I mean, I've got a very small following on Instagram. I did Facebook for many years, not successfully at all. And as a platform, I really, you know, I don't like it. But on Instagram, I feel very comfortable. But when I keep turning up there consistently and having conversations and, you know, engaging with every single follower that I have, I see my numbers grow and grow. And I see also that the people that follow me are aligned with my values, which is so important. So again, when you are known for something and you keep showing up consistently, that is going to have so many benefits for your business, not just the bottom line, but all the other things that you're trying to create in the business, you know, in your business success.
I love it. That's so good. Thank you so much. Honestly, I could talk to you for hours, but our time is coming up. Um, I know you're so busy. But just want to ask you last question when it comes to the business. Um, what does confidence mean to you?
Well, that's such a great question. You know, and I would say I'm quite late to the party in terms of confidence. So, you know, for the listeners who haven't met me, I probably come across as, you know, quite confident. But you know, this has been a real. I mean, I know we overuse the word journey, but you know, for me, it has been a very long journey. And for me, again, confidence really comes down to when I'm talking to you and I'm feeling animated, it's because I'm so passionate about the message that I want to get across.
Yeah.
I'm so motivated to really connect with people and to say something that's going to resonate with them. And I almost, you know, in my own inhibitions, or you know, the things that I may feel lacking in confidence in, they kind of disappear because I've almost taken myself out of the equation. So it's for me, it's because I'm passionate about the mission and the focus and what I want for other people. I can take myself out of the equation. But again, you're not going to be surprised to know that for me, confidence is about being able to be who you are, be authentic to who you are. And my journey has very much been that the more that I have stepped into my true self, and I've stepped into being who I really am supposed to be in this world, I have grown in confidence.
I love it.
Again, I think when we try and a fabulous author I interviewed a few weeks ago, Jill Whitty Collins, who wrote Why Men Win at Work. She talks about when we are stepping into a culture that we don't feel comfortable with, what happens is we don't bring our authentic selves, and so whoever is with us feels that, and they feel that sense of, oh, something doesn't feel quite right here. So
Your energy, I believe in it. You reflect that. It's so powerful.
So my parting words for our talk today is really, it doesn't matter what setting you find yourself in. It doesn't matter what context you find yourself in. You speak your truth. You tell your story, because when you tell your story in an authentic way, people will feel that and they will resonate with that. And it will open them up to feel that they can share and tell their stories as well. And when you do that, you create connection. And so for me, it's really about, you've just got to get really comfortable with that and know that you've always got something valuable to say, irrespective of the culture that you find yourself in, irrespective of the context that you find yourself in. So yeah, I would say that's how I would define confidence.
Love it. Thank you so much, Marisa. It has been a great pleasure to have you. I kept switching my video off so the internet strain wasn't taking the connection strength. So it has been a great pleasure. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your perspective of how to be a successful businesswoman in these patriotic world.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But we are here. I love that you're on a mission to make a difference in this world, in entrepreneurial world for women, and help them to live the deserved life they wish. So thank you.
It's been such a pleasure, Elif, and I look forward to our future conversations. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all. I will see you on the next episode.